Hello, this is Patrick at OneCNC West and welcome to another Problem Solvers video. In this video we're going to take a look at a problem that arises when calculating feed rates for your different tool paths. Alright, so in this example you can see we have a part. I performed a roughing pocket operation and also a finish pass here as well. Okay, so when calculating your feed rates, what do you take into account for? Well, typically you take into account things like depth of cut, the material, the type of tool, chip load, all those are big factors. But some other factors you should be considering are things like abrupt toolpath direction changes and also small fillets. Let me give you an example. I'm going to backplot this pocket operation by right-clicking. Going to select backplot. That's going to create a geometric representation of the toolpath, and let's zoom in on that so we can take a look at it a little closer. What do I mean by abrupt tool path direction changes? Well, anytime you see a sharp corner like this is when the tool is going to be changing direction. Okay, and so when you're programming feed rates for this pocket operation, you're probably asking yourself, well, what's the safest speed that I really want the tool to make an abrupt direction change like this? Same with small fillets. You can see down here in the lower left hand corner we have some small fillets. You might have to ask yourself too, how fast, how safe is it to machine those small fillets? What's the appropriate feed rate for that? Well, in my example, I started off with 20 inches a minute. So if we were to take a look at the cycle time, let's double click here and go to job sheet, and what we'll take is this view PDF and just blow this up a little bit bigger. Going to come down here. So with that pocket operation at 20 inches a minute, you can see that we have a cycle time of 3 minutes and 16 seconds. The reason why I programmed this at 20 inches a minute is because for my particular machine tool, I thought that 20 inches a minute was going to be the safest for those abrupt little direction changes and those small fillets. So how can we address that? How can OneCNC solve this problem? Well, there's actually a way in which you can reduce your cycle time and possibly even extend the life of your tool as well. Let me demonstrate. Let's head over here to the pocket operation. I'm going to right hand mouse click. Let's go to edit operation. You're going to notice an option here called feed control. So I'm going to grab that and let's activate that. Okay, let's talk about those abrupt direction changes. That has to do with these corner settings. So in the lower right hand corner here, what I've said is when the tool gets 100 thousandths before a sharp corner, that's represented by this little black line here, I want the feed rate to reduce by 50%. Okay, very nice. Now you can put in whatever values you want. You can also change this to percentage of tool if you want, but I'm going to go manual and say 100 thousandths. What's really nice about this is that 50% reduction in feed rate only gets applied to that 100 thousandths before that sharp corner. After that, the feed rate returns back to 100%. Another thing to take into account are those small little fillets. What I'm saying here is that I'm going to reduce the feed rate by 50% for any arcs that have radiuses that are less than 200 thousandths. And again, you can put in whatever you want there. So I'm going to click OK. So what benefit is that? Well, it's a huge benefit because what we can do now is we can now machine those larger linear cuts, those larger arcs. We can machine those much faster. So I can say 40 inches a minute on that. The reason why I know that's safe is because I can go 40 inches a minute on these long linear cuts on these bigger radiuses without a problem. But I also know that when OneCNC encounters a corner or a small fillet less than 200 thousandths in radius, the feed rate is going to be reduced by 50%, and that's going to take it back down to 20 inches a minute. Okay, so I'm going to click next on this and just push all the way through here. Now let's take a look at the cycle time. So we're going to double click, quickly go back into our job sheet. Let's view the PDF file and we'll scroll down to that pocket operation, and now you can see that the cycle time has been reduced to 1 minute and 38 seconds. What's also nice about that is that also possibly can do things like extend the tool life because you're making the chip load more constant. Okay, and another important thing to note is that this type of feed rate control is available in all of the OneCNC milling operations except for hole operations. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. This has been another problem solved by OneCNC. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.